Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the previous lessons, we had taken Kitab al-Salah and we had taken how a person performs Salah specifically. And thereafter, we moved on to Salatul Witr. And we covered Salatul Witr in Hanafi madhab. After that, they speak about Salatul Jama'ah, Salah in congregation, Salatul Jama'ah. And the Hanafis, they mention a few rules, which are some of them, they themselves have it only in their madhab, and others they share with the other madhahib. So the first mas'ala, I mentioned it in the previous lesson, but it actually comes under this chapter. It comes under Jama'ah and not Witr. It says, the person reading, so Jama'ah, what's Jama'ah? Jama'ah is congregation. So a person performing Salah in congregation, not alone. Going to the Hanafi madhab, the least amount of people in a congregation are two, the Imam and one more. So if there's the Imam and one more person, then this person has performed Salah in Jama'ah. So the first thing they mention is Al-Mu'tam, or some people say Al-Ma'mum, the person who is behind the Imam. Under no circumstances should he be reciting any Quran or any surah. So when the Imam is reciting Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen as well as the surah from the Quran, the person behind should not be reciting. Now you might say, why do they mention this mas'ala? Because in the other madhahib, or some of the other madhahib, they mention how a person must recite Surah Al-Fatiha even if they're reciting behind the Imam. And when they're reciting in Salah, which is what they call sirriyah, where a person is not reading loud, they're reading softly, like Salatul Dhuhr, Salatul Asr. Even if they're in Jama'ah, the other madhahib tell them to read something, read Surah Al-Fatiha, and if the Imam is not yet gone into ruku, carry on reading another surah. So the Hanafi madhab, in order to mention their madhab, they say that a person behind the Imam should not recite anything. Okay? Number two, they say that when it comes to the niyyah, the intention, the person behind the Imam should have a niyyah of salah. Okay, that's normal, as well as the niyyah of following the Imam, what they call mutaba'ah. What they call mutaba'ah. And as I mentioned to you previously, personally, I'm of the opinion that in the chapter of niyyah, don't open the door for waswas. So if you had to ask a person, what are you doing? Let's say they go to the masjid and they've started their salah. What are you doing? I'm performing my salah. Which salah are you performing? Salatul Asr, for example. Why are you reading in the masjid? I'm reading behind the imam. So the niyyah is already there. However, sometimes they specifically mention this niyyah of following the imam because even when it comes to salah, they make sure that a person identifies the salah they're reading, etc. Some go as far as saying the imam should have an intention for the people behind them. I'm of the opinion that you don't have to have waswas. Don't open the door for the whispers of shaitan. You're reading behind the imam, you're obviously reading there because you're obviously reading there behind the imam, and your niyyah is to follow the imam. So that's point number two. Point number three, when it comes to the ruling of Salatul Jama'ah, what's the ruling of Salatul Jama'ah? Salah in congregation. So here you divide into men and women. So for women, everybody agrees Salah in Jama'ah is not compulsory. And some even say not recommended or makruh. What we can agree here is it's not compulsory. As for the men, you've got two opinions, okay? The Hanafi madhab say sunnah mu'akkada, which means a sunnah which is highly emphasized. And some of the opinions in the Hanafi madhab say almost wajib. Wajib again is great emphasis, but it doesn't reach the level of fard, which is compulsory. Okay? And there's other madhahib that say salah in jama'ah is compulsory. So what's the reason why they mention it? Because they're mentioning their opinion or their madhab, because they have a debate amongst the scholars. Is salah in jama'ah compulsory or not compulsory? And both sides have their opinions. What we can say is everybody agrees that for the men, those who are able to uh, read salah in jama'ah, the least is it's highly encouraged. The masjid is near your house, a few minutes away. Are you free? You can go there. You are highly encouraged. Everybody agrees on that. Some go a step further to say it's compulsory upon you. Thereafter, the last masala we'll take today, who is awla nasi bil imama? Who is the person most befitting to lead the salah? Okay. Now, what you've got to remember is this masala, there's two parts to it. The first is, at times, if you go to a person's house, okay, they are in charge of the house or in charge of the building, or let's say you're visiting a person's business, and they are sahibul bayt, they're the owner of it. The hadith has made sure that this person is awla nasi bil imama. He is the most deserving to lead salah. So the owner of the house is most deserving to lead salah in the house, or it says the business or the building, etc. Because that's an honor given to him by Allah and His Messenger. So that's point number one. Okay. And point number two is an Islamic leader. So let's say the Khalifa, for example, who in today's time you find sometimes, or you got to remember in those times, the leader of the Muslims was also the Imam, because the leader was generally extremely knowledgeable in the Sharia, could recite the Quran very well, and they were a leader of the country or the people. So they also used to lead the Salah. Then slowly later on, it it was separated. So the duty of leadership, the person who had the leadership, they would appoint others to lead the Salah in the form of Qudah, the judges, etc. So whoever's been appointed or whoever is in charge of a country, they call him the Sultan, or in charge of, let's say, a county or province, etc., and they are visiting, they are more befitting or more deserving to lead the Salah. And similarly, okay, if you go to a masjid, for example, and the masjid has appointed an imam, or this imam, it's known that he leads the salah in this masjid, an agreement from the congregation, then he is most deserving to lead the salah in that congregation as long as his qira'ah is acceptable. Okay. Thereafter, they say so that's the first part of the masala. You've got to understand this. Okay. And point number two is that when they're talking about awla nasi bil imama, they're talking about if this doesn't exist where it's a person's house, or it's not a specific imam, or the leader isn't there, who leads the salah? Let's say you go on you go on a trip, for example, your group of friends, 4 friends, and they saying who is going to lead the salah. So that's when they tell you the first person to lead the salah in the Hanafi madhab. Okay, they say a'lamuhum bis sunnah, the one who is most knowledgeable of the sunnah. The sunnah here meaning the sharia. So the one who has the most Islamic knowledge according to them. That's the first. أعلمهم بالإسلام وبالسنة وبالشريعة. If they both equal, okay, you've got two of them who are still equal in that. Then we look at who is أقرأهم لكتاب الله, one who reads the book of Allah the best. Some say it means memorization, some say it means recitation. Then let's say they both equal in that. They say the one who has the most wara. Wara is where a person, wara is a quality where a person leaves even that which may be looked down upon, may be frowned down upon, even if it may be permissible or may lead them to something else. It's like where you take extra precaution. They say if they're still equal in that, then they say the older one should read, the one who is older. And then they carry on mentioning if they're still equal, then. etc., then they should have a lot, and whoever is taken out. And this, notice how this is where the people have what they call niza, where there's a dispute as to who should lead. Otherwise, if somebody gave the other to lead, there's no harm in it. Bearing in mind that I want you to differentiate between what we mentioned here on the top and the bottom. You can't go to a masjid that's got an imam already, okay? And I'm saying that as long as the imam is somebody who reads normally, his qira'ah is correct, his salah is correct, nobody can stand up and say that, you know what, I'm the most knowledgeable, so I must lead the salah. No. That one came by appointment. So here, preference is given here. Somebody who is appointed, or somebody's house, especially if the person of the house can recite that which is acceptable. So let's say you go to a house of somebody and the qira'ah is acceptable, and you've got a big qari who comes and visits the house, or a big sheikh. And when the time of salah comes, this person of the house wants to lead the salah. He has the right to. Why? Because he's in the first category here. And same when it comes to a ruler. Thereafter we mentioned أعلمهم بالسنة Hanafi madhab. Mentioned that after that أقرأهم, after that the one with the most wara', after that the one who is the oldest. And then they go on to mention more and more. Okay, so these are things to mention, to remember when it comes to imamah. And thereafter they go to mention some of the things which are disliked in imamah, when a person leads the salah, and they'll give you a ruling on women leading the salah, etc. So all that will come. Any questions with what we've taken, or must I ask? Any questions? Halim.
Sheikh, is those that says obligatory, do they mean in Jama'ah or actually going to pray
In the
at the
masjid.
mosque? No.
So
At the
again,
masjid.
okay, here the people, there's a difference of opinion. What is jama'ah? Is jama'ah when a person goes to the masjid, or when a person reads in a congregation, even if it may be at home? And there's a dispute there. And I don't really want to go into the dispute, but what I can tell you is we would encourage the person, at least highly encourage them, to go and read salah in jama'ah at the masjid, as long as they're able to. I want to ask a question. Anyone here who's of the opinion that salah in jama'ah is compulsory?
That's what I've been taught, at
Right.
least.
So let me ask you. Salah in jama'ah, if they say it's compulsory, okay, the different madhahib. Let's say you go to work in the morning, and then the time of dhuhr enters at 12:30, okay? And you have a shop. You have a shop. In order for you to get to the one masjid that's in your city, it will take you half an hour to get there, half an hour to get back. And same when it comes to Asr, that's going to be early at 3 p.m. Do you have to close your shop and go or not? Huh? Said?
I think those who say that it is compulsory will say that you have to do all in your power to attend the Jummah.
Not Jumu'ah. I'm not talking about Jumu'ah. I'm talking about Salat al-Dhuhr, Salat al-Asr. Leave Jumu'ah on the side for now.
Or the Jama, okay. No, I don't think that's obligatory, but
Okay, ask you another question. Let's say persons of the opinion that Salah in Jama'ah is compulsory. Okay? And then they're on the road. Okay? They're not traveling, they're not travelers. They are going from let's say within the space of 10 kilometers from point A to point B. Person has got his wife in the car and they're traveling, and the time of Maghrib Jama'ah is 6 o'clock at this place here halfway, but it's known to be a dangerous area. Okay. And the person is passing here 6 o'clock. He believes Salah in Jama'ah is compulsory. Does he stop to read Salah in Jama'ah because Salah in Jama'ah is compulsory, or does he carry on because it's an unsafe place? Said.
If it's an unsafe place, I think he needs to carry on.
Okay, ask another question. If, let's say, somebody needs to pay you money, okay, a large amount. They need to pay you $100,000, okay, and you know Salatul Jama'ah Maghrib is 6 p.m. And they tell you that I am coming to drop this money off at 6 p.m. Okay. If you're gonna go to the Jama'ah, you're gonna miss this guy. He's not coming back again. There's no meeting again with him. He said, I'm not coming, I can't make it after that. So you're gonna miss some sort of benefit in your dunya. And if you meet this guy, you're gonna miss Salatul Jama'ah, which on this opinion is compulsory. Do you do?
I can imagine the opinions are divided on this one, but if it's your for your livelihood, then I can imagine that you have to go for the meeting to get the money.
Okay, so what you answer so far is correct. You find that like in Azad al-Mustaqni and Hanbali madhab, after they mention to you the default ruling of Salah and Jama'ah being compulsory, then they mention some exceptions to the rule, and one of them is like a maslaha dunyawiyah that's going to miss him forever. There's no way to get it back, or a place that's unsafe, etc. So even those who say it's obligatory, they have certain exceptions to it. Also, there's a big debate, even those who say it's obligatory, to say when a person's traveling, is Salah and Jama'ah compulsory or not? What we will say is that no doubt everybody agrees that it's better. It's better to read Salah in Jama'ah. Same when it comes to, gargling the mouth and cleaning the nose in wudu. Everybody agrees it's encouraged. There's those who go a step further to say compulsory, and those who go stay there and say, no, it's just highly encouraged. So Hanafi madhab says sunnah mu'akkada. Some say close on to wajib. Bearing in mind wajib and fard in the Hanafi madhab are different. So wajib is like a lot of emphasis has been put on it, but not to the point of it being compulsory. Understood? And that's another thing you must remember, that sometimes a person who is not a good, I won't say not a good, but not an advanced student of knowledge, they take one part of the mas'ala and run with it, one hadith and run with it, not realizing that generally the ulama mention your default ruling and then they mention exceptions to the rule. It's generally how the books of fiqh go. The default rulings, what's the norm and the practice, and then you got exceptions to the rules. Anybody else a question in the lesson before we move on to questions which are outside the lesson?
We have two quick questions for you, if possible, Sheikh.
Inside the lesson to do with what we took.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me.
First one is the first one is if you're passing by the masjid, or if you live near the masjid and you hear the adhan and it's salah time, passing by also. Second one is if someone's renting a building from you and you there to maybe collect your money and it's time for salah. So who would lead, the
Who would
you
lead?
or the person? Yeah. And then sorry, the last one is wajib stronger than sunnah mu'akkada, more emphasized than sunnah mu'akkada?
Yeah, so in the Hanafi madhab, it goes in this order. Fard is like the highest, And then wajib, which is very close to fard, but not fard. So they'll tell you like 5 times salah is fard. Witr, they say, you know, we can't really say sunnah mu'akkada because there's more emphasis. The Messenger ﷺ didn't leave witr, so they made a category and called it wajib. The other madhahib, fard and wajib, is the same, except in three or four masail, but generally the same. And then when it comes to sunnah, you've got those which are mu'akkada, which are still sunnah, but highly, highly recommended. So like the 2 sunnah of fajr. Okay. Then you've got sunnah, which is ghayr mu'akkada, which is not as much emphasis. Then they go less than that, which is mustahab. So that's the point number, the third question you asked. The second question you asked was, who leads if the landlord and the tenant is there? From what I've read in some of the Hanafi books, they say that the one who is renting, he will lead. And I'm guessing that there'll probably be another opinion to say that the one who owns the building, because he owns it outright. So I'm guessing. As for the tenant, we can say that the fact that he has paid, it has given him temporary, almost we could say temporary ownership of this piece of land at this time. So because he's paid, we could count him as the one who's holding it for the next so many months. Wallah, I don't know. And I don't know what's the correct opinion. And the last question you said was, remind me.
If you driving past the masjid and it's time for salah, or if you
Yeah.
live near a masjid, it does it without, when you can hear the adhan without, if